my name is Fiona Sadler and I'm here on behalf of Sports Abroad, and today I get to chat to another swimming success story. In fact, this isn't just a story, it's a total legacy, as today I am thrilled to be speaking to someone so good at the sport. She has an OBE, 4 Olympic medals, and pretty much has ticked every single box when it comes to record breaking. Of course, today I am speaking to the incredible Rebecca Adlington. Hello, Rebecca.
Hiya.
Hi. Firstly, huge congratulations on your baby news. When is he due?
Not till February, so we've got a little bit of time yet, and just get the house sorted and have Christmas and everything else. So yeah.
And he's going to be an Aquarius then, is he? It's a water sign, an early indicator already.
Well, my birthday's in February, so I'm like, oh, I hope he's like, well, to be fair, he's due on the 27th. My birthday's the 17th, but okay. I'm like, oh, could be the same.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? And I know that you have been super busy recently because I've been following your house renovation on Instagram. Have you managed to get into the pool at all? I know obviously we're in lockdown, but before that?
Yeah, so when the pools opened back up end of July, I got back in. The first week they opened back up, I think I got in 3 times. I was so happy for them to be back. I was like, I'm just going to cram loads of sessions in. So that was really, really nice. And having my daughter as well, it was the longest time she'd ever been without water, and she really, really missed it. She kept asking me, Mummy, when can I go back swimming? I felt so bad for her because I was like, I know, I miss it too. So we got back in during the summer. And she had her lessons and stuff back open again, and it's obviously now they've shut again for the month, but fingers crossed it opens back up again.
Hopefully very soon, and sooner than it did after the last lockdown. But still, it seems like swimming is very much a part of your everyday life then still.
Oh yeah, massively. I mean, I still live and breathe the sport, run my own swim business, so that's kind of, I still feel like I'm so involved in the sport. I've just moved departments. Like, I still watch the sport, whether it's that Olympics or kind of the International Swimming League, which is on at the minute. I'm kind of always still involved in it in some capacity. I still live and breathe it. It's just I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. and jumping into the water anymore, which is nice.
Yeah, a little lie-in. But when you do train nowadays, do you still sort of get in, give it some welly, whap out a swift 400 past those head-up breaststrokers, or is it a little bit more relaxed for you now?
No, I definitely don't do any of that for sure. I know so many people that go into like masters swimming, and like that's really, really big and want to kind of do those competitions. But I feel like I have exhausted all the competition element out of me, and I've got none left. I literally have no desire to compete at all. So no, now for me, swimming is almost like my meditation. I almost find swimming a bit more like yoga, because I don't really use swimming as a form of like working out. Like, I would go in the gym and that's when I sweat and I struggle because I'm rubbish and I'm like, oh gosh. Whereas with swimming, I use it more for kind of a relaxation, more for kind of switching off away from my phone. It's the only time you cannot reach me in a pool, because you always have your phone with you. Like, even if I go out for a run, your phone's on you. So it's like, it's so nice when you get in the pool, my phone's in the locker, it's away, and it's just my time in the pool. And I love that feeling.
I love that you're at one with the water. And obviously you said that you take your daughter summer. Is that kind of reminiscent of you and your family when you were a child? Did you get into the sport at a very young age?
Yeah, I got into the sport at a really, really young age. I'm the youngest of 3. So by the time I came along, like my elder sister, she could fully swim. She was absolutely flying. So I think when you kind of have older siblings, it's just a bit easier. You just kind of slot in. And I just didn't understand why I was in the baby pool and they were in the bigger pool and all this. So it's just kind of like I was a bit kind of fed up of the armbands. My mum always says that on holiday she'd be blowing up the armbands and I would just run into the pool and not even wait and everything. So I absolutely loved it growing up. And to be fair, I think when you're from such a small town, like we've grown up in Mansfield, and it is such a small place, like we don't have much going on, and we certainly didn't have this. The town's really come on over the past couple of years, but when I was growing up there wasn't much there. But we luckily have 2 swimming pools, so pretty much everyone in Mansfield can swim because we have 2 swimming pools, which is absolutely amazing. So it just was that thing that your birthday parties are there, you do as a family, you go all the time at weekends, and my siblings loved it as well, so it just became a family thing.
That's so nice. And at your peak, how many hours do you reckon that you were spending in the pool every single week?
Probably It kind of differed, but between 2025 in the pool, it depends kind of on different sessions. I think with being a distance swimmer, it was one of those that was probably always the higher end, because I was always first in the pool, always last out the pool, always had to get a bit more meters in than kind of the other guys and stuff like that. So just the nature of my event, really, I've always had a jealousy for sprinters, because I so wish I could be a sprinter, but I just have no speed. So yeah, being a distance swimmer, that was always the case, but I didn't mind it, and I love being in the pool. So yeah, it was one of those that I did probably a bit more swimming than I did gym work. I only really did about 3 gym sessions a week, whereas the sprinters, they're in the gym every day, and it is a very different format for sprinters and distance swimmers.
Well, whatever you did clearly worked, because it takes some dedication to do that. I'm surprised that you're not still wrinkled like a prune all these years later. Professionally, swimming has taken you all across the globe, but it's not just been in competitions, because obviously you've done your fair share of swim camps abroad too. Is there a particular place that kind of stands out for you?
I used to love going abroad to swim. It's still one of my favorite things to swim outdoor. And I love swimming in the rain. I know that sounds weird, but I love that. But even when it's so much nicer to swim outside. But yeah, going abroad, there's some amazing, amazing centres. Like anywhere in the world as well. Europe, I think, is obviously the easiest place, but just because there is so many brilliant centres, you get the weather, whether you're going to Spain or Tenerife or things like that. We've done all of them before. I've been further afield, kind of Australia. We've even done a training camp in the Seychelles before. Which was just absolutely incredible. But obviously America, things like that, they all have kind of amazing outdoor facilities. And you kind of expect it from places like America or Australia. Of course you do, because it's such a big sport for them. Whereas there's so many incredible places just on our doorstep in Europe, and so many training camps, whether we've been to Italy, Spain, Tenerife, kind of they all have these incredible swim centres.
And I'm quite shocked, having spoken to swimmers and coaches alike, actually, about how much emphasis they put on the social aspect of going and swimming abroad and doing the swim camps. Do you find that being away from home and surrounding yourself with fellow swimmers 24/7 makes you a stronger team player? Is that what it instills, the team mentality?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You get a chance to bond. I think the thing is here, because you train, your hours are early in the morning, late at night. It's a case of you're all rushing, whether it's to school, whatever it is in the day, and you all kind of just do your own thing. Whereas when you go abroad and you're on that, it's like you get a chance to bond, you get a chance to have fun. It basically is like you're going on holiday with your mates, and you just have to swim on top of that. But when you love your sport anyway, that's fine to do. I always find I swam so much better on these, because I had more chance to rest. I didn't have to focus on external things, whether it's cooking, cleaning, whatever it is that you've got to do at home as well. You get to switch off when you're on these camps, and I just think it brings you all together. It brings a real fun atmosphere, a real fun environment, because you're not getting up at 5 a.m. in the freezing cold, scraping the ice off your window and just having to do everything yourself. You really just get to bond together and just have a complete laugh. And especially when you have your downtime or your sessions off, you get to explore where you are as well. And yeah, my best times, if somebody said to me now, what are your favorite memories from the sport? Obviously taking Beijing and London out, it would just be training camps. Training camps are the thing I talk about most with all my swimming friends that are still friends with now. Is the thing that we talk about the most are training camps abroad.
Some memories made for life, aren't they?
Yeah.
But were there ever any moments in your career when you just thought, oh, sack it, it's cold, it's miserable, I'm up dead early, I'm home dead late, I've had enough?
No. There was, like, don't get me wrong, there was the odd morning where you were super tired and didn't want to go, but it wasn't like it lasted for a long enough period. It was just because that day you were struggling, or you were super sore when you wake up and you just can't even move your arm. You're like, yep, I'm sore. I can't move. But no, there was definitely times of kind of illness and injury, more illness. I was plagued with a bit of illness, especially when I was about 15, 16, having glandular fever and post-viral fatigue, that not because I wanted to ever stop, but just was that question of, can I ever get back there? Will my fitness ever be the same? Because probably in all of that period, it was about 18 months of different training, and wasn't able to kind of give it welly every single time I went because of having glandular fever. It wasn't just that it was a cold and lasted a week and then went away. It was something a bit different. So that period was really tough. I never said to myself, I'm going to stop, or even have those conversations of quitting or anything else. But it was certainly tougher, definitely.
Yeah, I can imagine. And to any children out there who might be feeling a little bit despondent, because obviously with COVID and everything, their sessions might not be back to normal. They can't get the hours in that they used to do before. What advice would you give them right now to keep them going and to keep pushing like you did?
I think to remember we're all in the same boat, and this isn't just this country, it's worldwide.
Yeah.
And everyone is in exactly the same boat. So I think take some comfort in that, because it's not like you're missing out on sessions compared to other people, because that it's very rare that people have access to a swimming pool. Obviously it's a little bit different if you live near the sea or like a river or whatever that you can jump into. I've seen a lot of the swimmers doing a lot more out open water swimming during this year, a lot more than usual, and we're so lucky in this country. We've got some amazing outdoor swimming. I'm not quite sure I'd want to get in now it's cold and winter, but still it's been there. And for kind of the younger kids that are kind of just getting into the sport, I think it's one of those that you have time. Like, don't worry, as long as your passion is still there, as long as when you do get back in, you're kind of excited and kind of want to do it, then I think you'll be absolutely fine, because that younger generation is not going to have missed out on that much, because you're already so active and healthy and fit when you're younger anyway, don't you? You have enough energy bouncing off the walls when you're younger, so you'll be absolutely fine to get in it. I know swimmers that have been to the Olympics that got into swimming much later than I did. I know people that kind of really kind of properly got into the sport more at 12, 13, whereas I was kind of a much younger. But I think there's no set formula for you have to be this age. It just depends on your dedication, your hard work, and your program once you get to that stage. So I wouldn't worry too much if you're going, oh well, they started at 9 and I'm now 10 because of everything going on this year. That it doesn't work that way, and everyone's different, so don't panic too much.
Now, you are our golden girl when it comes to British swimming, and you've smashed it at not one but 2 Olympics. This year, though, obviously they've rescheduled and pushed back the Olympic Games to next year, and if not further, if things don't change. How do you think that will affect the athletes that are training for these? Because I know obviously the training that you do is in cycles through the Olympics. Is that right?
Yeah. I think this year, I think it's one of those that I think at the time when it got cancelled, I think it was a bit of shockwaves, because I think, let's not lie, we all expected this to be over a lot sooner than it was. And I think it was one of those that for those athletes that were kind of on that stepping stone, it was harder mentally than physically. I mean, you can do so many workouts at home. I know they've all been doing these either open water swimming, but also cross country stuff that they've not, I call it cross country because that's what we did at school, but as in like stuff that you're not used to doing in your sport. I've seen people do all sorts of crazy stuff that they've never ever tried before, but just because they've had the chance and it's keeping them fit. And I've seen Adam Peaty on the bike all the time and all this sort of stuff. So it's been one of those that people have got a bit more creative with how to physically keep in shape. It's just the mental side that I think it's kind of like switching that mentality. Okay, it's not this year, but I think everyone's got the head around it now. Everyone, especially the elite guys, they've obviously been back in the water. They're lucky because they're performance centers, and the elite side isn't affected by lockdown. They can still keep swimming, so for them it's kind of all systems go. And I think the thing is now, it was kind of a bit hit and miss. I would probably say a month or two ago whether the Olympics were going to go ahead, whereas I think now we're in a much better place now. I think obviously the vaccine is helping, but the fact that other sports have come back and have been successful, yes, they've not had the spectators, but they've been able to put on events that have still worked, have been really safe, that I think the athletes are kind of now in a bit more mindset, okay, they're not going to be pushed back any further. I think you kind of feel like, okay, this is going to happen a lot more. I think it's more positivity, whereas I think a month or two ago, people were going, how is this going to go ahead? Whereas I think there's light at the end of the tunnel now, isn't there?
Yes, indeed. And is there anybody that you've got a prediction of who to watch at Tokyo then?
I think it's one of those that Adam obviously gets so much of the spotlight because he is our golden boy. He is just Adam Peaty. you can't escape Adam Beattie because he is such a powerhouse and he is such an incredible athlete. But there is so many other athletes there. Duncan Scott has impressed me for so many years. Just his attitude, the way he races. I think a lot of Duncan as an athlete. So I always look forward to watching him race. And obviously we've seen him on the podium in the past, but I think he's one of those that I can't see him not being successful at the Olympics just because he's so good. And then you've got Luke Greenbank really coming through and kind of making a name for himself. Again, somebody that's been there but really seems to have kind of shot through. And then on the girls' side, people like Freya Anderson, I think she is absolutely amazing. She's one of those that she's like over 6 foot. She's just built for swimming. She is like the perfect build for a swimmer. She's got brilliant technique. Nothing phases her. Her attitude, she doesn't get scared when she stood next to like an Olympic champ. She's just like, yeah, and what? I'm gonna go for it. And I just love her mindset. She's just such a powerhouse, and I think Freya's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And she's already doing amazing things, but I think she's only, as she gets older, she gets more powerful, just going to become even more of a dominant real powerhouse of a name in the sport.
We have got some amazing talents in the British pool, haven't we? Do you ever miss competitions yourself now that you're retired? Do you ever watch them on the blocks and think, oh, I could give it another whirl? Would you ever consider doing the masters swimming, or is it a no-go?
Gosh, no, definitely not. Literally all I think is, thank gosh I'm not them. Like the thought of, I used to get really, really nervous. I was a real nervous athlete, and it was just one of those that I used to feel sick, and like literally 3-4 weeks before I was even going to compete, I would feel sick. And it was just like, I think because I was so nervous, I didn't necessarily have that love for racing. Like somebody like Adam just absolutely loves to race. Like Adam just loves that thrill and loves that competition, whereas I'm the complete opposite. I'm actually one of the rare people that preferred training to racing. Wow. Racing was just part of it, but I loved the training. I miss training, but racing, gosh no, I don't miss feeling sick and all those nerves, definitely not.
Yeah, you're better off doing the old comparing on the side of the pool now. And of course, you have used your swimming success for greatness. You've opened Becky Adlington Swim Stars, and now with Baby Stars too, you offer a full swimming journey from the ages of 0 to 11. How vital do you think it is for kids to learn to swim, even if they're not going to think of going on to compete later in life?
Oh, it's such a fundamental life skill. And I had spent years promoting Learn to Swim. And then it was kind of after London that I really kind of took it a bit more seriously. I think after London, Inspire a Generation, the Olympic motto, I really kind of thought to myself, hold on, I need to take some responsibility here. I can't be just saying the government needs to do more, or schools need to do more, or parents need to do more. I need to do something about it, which is why I set up my own. But I just want kids to learn how to swim. I don't care whose program you go to, as long as you learn to swim. Like I just want this country to see it as a life skill before a sport, because you go to Australia and they see it as a life skill. It's a fundamental part of their life that everyone can learn to swim, whereas, and the same in America. But then you come here and it's like, if you ask people about swimming, they go, yeah, it's a sport, it's an Olympic sport. And I'm like, it's not, it could save your life. And unfortunately we do have a lot of drownings in this country. It is one of those that you cannot live your life in this country without seeing water. We have floods, we have rivers, we have lakes. Yeah. You either live by the sea, you cannot escape it. And I just think to change that mentality and that mindset is going to take a very long time. But I just think it's so crucial for parents. My parents didn't put me into the sport thinking I was going to be an Olympic medalist. Definitely not. It was just for safety on holidays. And it was just one of those that, right, they can learn how to swim. And I even say that about my daughter. Until my daughter can swim 25 meters unaided, totally fine on her own, she's doing lessons, and luckily she loves them, so I don't have to kind of bribe her or anything else. But she's not stopping until she can do that, because it is a fundamental safety. And once you know, it's like learning to ride a bike. Once you can swim them for the rest of your life. And a lot of people have found they haven't swum since they were a kid, and now they get back in because they want to do triathlons, or they just want to do it for fitness or whatever. That people do leave it throughout their kind of teenage years and don't want to compete, that's fine. As long as you know how to swim, then that's brilliant. You don't need to.
No, exactly. And for many people, it's probably the parents that are more scared at the moment than the children with the COVID and things around. What advice would you give to parents who are slightly dubious about sending their kids to the pool, obviously when they reopen and things, because of COVID?
I think it's one of those that if you are even tiny bit hesitant, there is I know loads of companies, not just mine, so many companies have worked really, really hard on their COVID measures. I know they all have. So you only have to go on whatever venue you swim at, a gym, a leisure centre, whatever. If you go onto their website, they will have everything that they've put in place, that you can see what they've done, how things are going to be different. You can read all about kind of the new information, one-way systems, or I know a lot of people have done this kind of beach ready, that you come kind of ready to swim. You don't necessarily spend as much time in the change rooms after, kind of shower once you get home. And it's amazing how quickly you get used to it. As soon as I went back, I was like, okay, this is fine. Like, it is so manageable. And the centres have done so well at making sure that it is safe. I haven't even come close to another person during that period, whether I've gone for a swim. I think the most I've had is one other person in my lane when I've gone for a swim. So there's just two of you. And when I go to my daughter's lessons, the parents are all spaced out. You're only allowed one of you on poolside. You have a designated area to sit and stand. You have to wear a mask. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. I feel perfectly safe. And so my daughter is as well. And obviously chlorine kills COVID. So we're very, very fortunate that once you're in the pool, you're in the safest environment you can possibly get is being in the pool. It's just the changing rooms are minimizing that time. But I think that, again, that's really easy to manage. So I think it's one of those that if you're going to do anything once you come back, swimming is one of the safest things to do. And you have to book on to swim as well. I don't know many swim centres where you don't have a booking procedure, so you can't just rock up anymore, have to book on. So they've done loads of work on it and they've done a fantastic job. I can't credit them enough.
And there's no worries now, is there? Just walking around in a dressing gown coming across town, is there, to go to the sports centre? No one even bats an eyelid, do they? And just before I let you go, we like to finish with our final 5 metres. And just as in swimming, it's strong, fast paced, and realistically, it's better if you don't breathe. But please don't do that because you are pregnant, and I don't want any responsibility. So, what do you eat before a race, or what did you eat before a race?
Very normal things, plain things like pasta or just toast, something really plain, because I was too nervous otherwise, couldn't eat anything else.
What's your favourite piece of training equipment?
Oh, fins, has to be fins.
It makes everything so much easier, doesn't it?
Sure, everyone says fins.
So are you an early bird or are you a night owl when it comes to pool work?
Oh, I liked both. I did like both, but I would go evening. So I'm better in the evening.
Yeah. And who's your favourite swim buddy?
I have loads, but best friend Jo Jackson, she's now Jo Turner because she's married, but she got a bronze in Beijing, so I'd say Jo.
It is just a family swimmers, isn't it? And the proudest moment in the water for you?
Has to be Beijing, getting 2 gold medals, a world record, having my mum and dad in the stands, and yeah, just where it all started for me. So it has to be Beijing.
You've pretty much fulfilled everything, haven't you? But just a 6th question, is your kitchen nearly done?
Oh gosh, no, but it should be by Christmas, so it's fine.
You have a beautiful sink, that's all you need to know. I have taken up way too much of your time already, Bex. Thank you so much for chatting to me, and keep on inspiring all swimmers everywhere. Rebecca Adlington, thank you very much.
Thank you.